Hey everybody, welcome back to 7 more days of SVGs. You know, this is really fun for me to do this too. Not only does it give me something to do while I'm quarantined here in my house, but then we can all get together later on and watch this together live and chat while we watch. Today I'm making something a little bit different. I think if you have little children in your family, or if you have little kids that you could send a mailing to, I'm going to show you something that might be fun for them. So follow me down here first at my desktop and let me show you what we're going to work on. Okay, we'll be working on 2 of these a day, and what they are is we're going to go ahead and trace this little guy, and then after we trace him, we're going to color him in like this. This is going to be a print then cut. We're going to do the same thing with this one and this one. And so what I thought you could do is if you have little kids, you could just have them, put the colored ones together and the black and white or the plain ones together. You could have them do sequencing, one of those, one of those, one of those. You could have them play a little game where they turn them all over like this. And you remember this game where you turn one over and you try to see if you can find its matcher, and I got lucky that time I did. But now, if you have little kids, you might want to just have total ones that are colored in and have them be exactly the same, because it would be easier for them to find matchers. Little older kids can do this and find matchers. Additionally, you can let them color this any colors they want, or they could try to duplicate this one. So let's get started. Okay, I already have my software open. I'm working in the business edition. Remember, you can do all of this for free in the free version. You just need the business edition to save it for your Cricut. You can use the free version for your Cameo. So let me show you how to grab this image and get started. I've given you the link down below. When you follow that link, you'll come to this page and you'll see this image right here. There they are, all of the ones we're going to be using. I had to click on it to open it, and then I actually went ahead and downloaded it. You see the little download button? And it downloaded it automatically for me, just like that. And when I click on the download, I get this. And now all I have to do is right-click on it and say, right-click on it and say copy. And then open the software up again, right-click and paste. Okay. So I want these to be a little bit bigger than this. I actually decided I like them to be, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4 inches tall. So I'm going to lock the lock, and I'm going to make them 4 inches tall and hit enter, and that changes all of it. So that's perfect, just like that. That's what I would like. The next thing I did was I got the knife tool out so I could separate them, because the only 2 I'm going to use today are these, let's see, what was it? This one, hold down the knife tool or my mouse button and go like this. When it gets all the way done, I double click on it, and since I had auto apply selected, I'll show you that in a sec, he came right off like that. The next one that I did was this one on this end. So again, I'll get the knife tool. Up here it says solid. I have it at poly, and I have auto apply on. Okay, so the knife tool is right here, solid, poly, because there's a drop down menu here, and auto apply is checked. So I'm just going to come between these 2 right now and draw a line. And when I let go and double click, that completes the cut, and I can drag him right off. So those are the only 2 I'm going to use right now. So let's get these guys way out of the way. Or what I can do is I can right click on this group and say copy, and then open up another window. So then all I have to do is right click and say paste. So these will be ready for tomorrow. We'll do 2 more. But for today, let's get rid of this group now. Done with those. We're going to work on these 2 guys here. I think I'll work on this one first, and you can notice a little tiny bit of stuff over here that we don't really need. So I'm going to scroll in. I'm going to try not to resize him at all, because I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on him. And remember that had these little squares come up. I think I can take one of these little squares and move it over just like that. Do you see what that did? That got rid of that extra part that I don't really need. See, it's that. So if I take this over like this, carefully, right up to that, that should be pretty good like that. And I can just click off. I do see a little bit still showing up, so I could get rid of that in a moment if I want to. So I'm going to scroll back out, and the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to trace him. Because right now, as you know, I can't color him. So I need to select the trace area by coming to the Trace or the Toast tool. Click on that. Then click on Select Trace Area, and just go like that and trace it. My tracing looks pretty good, but as you know, I like to scroll in just to make sure. And look, that's a little bit ugly right there. And oh, his eye's not totally closed either. So I will want to up my threshold a little bit. There we go. Perfect. All right. Let's see, anybody else needs help? Now that looks really good. There's some stuff over here I might want to get rid of though, and I'll show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do now is just say trace and scroll back out. And I'm going to move the box off. I don't need that. So the next thing I'm going to do, like we always do when we're tracing or making an SVG, is I'm going to click on the outer edge of him, come up here to the color area and make it like a light purple. Color I probably won't be using. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is go to Object, Release Compound Path. And as you'll recall, what that does, it puts a selection around each little component, each little thing that makes up this little chick and the egg. So I'm going to say Release the Compound Path. And there it is, just like that. So again, I'm going to scroll in right here because you see this little mess right here. I don't really like that. I don't want my machine to have to come down here cutting, jig out a little bit, come down here, go back in like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this, which brings up the nodes, as you'll recall. I can see one of the nodes I don't want is this one right here. I don't need that one. So I'm going to click on it to make it the active one and just delete it. And I guess it went up to another one up here, and that will be good. I'll delete that one as well and see what happens. Okay, I don't think I want to delete any more up there. So I'm going to come down to this one here. Click on that so it becomes a white square, which means it's the active node. Then I can delete it. So now let's scroll out and see what we have. Okay, that's looking way better than it did. So now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to start coloring him. So I can click this top piece and I'll make that a blue because that's what I had done on my sample. The next piece, let's see, I can make several things at one time now. That is yellow. Hold down my shift key, get his face. Hold down my shift key and get this small stripe and one more small stripe. All of those pieces are going to be yellow now. So all I have to do is come up here to the color area and find the yellow and change it. Let's see, did I make that different? Oh, I'm coloring him differently. Thought I was following the one I had already done. So this one's going to be way different color. Let me go back and make it the way I did on my one that you see down here on my desk. So I wanted to color this orange. I was following the wrong picture. This, kind of a purpley color. And this yellow. So you can go through and change these just like I'm doing. And this, that same purple color. And this, the same purple color, because I want this to be the other part of the broken shell. This will be orange. And that's going to be purple. Oopsie. Not orange, purple. And this is going to be orange. And purple. And yellow and dark purple. Okay. That's more like what it was like, although the color's a little bit off. That's not exactly the purple I use, but that'll work. So I've colored everything I need to color. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the outside of this thing. Once I get the box the whole way around it, as you can see, and I can see that it's the light purple color up here, I'm now going to change it to black. Okay, just like that. Oh, that looks really, really good. There's just a few places that black didn't work. So let's scroll in so we can fix these. Let's click on his mouth, hold down the shift key and click on the yellow. come over here to the Modify panel, which is a rectangle with a little circle around with it, and it says Modify Panel. Click on that to open it, and once that's open, just click on the word Subtract. Perfect. Look what it did. Perfect. So what did that do? It cut that part out of his mouth that I didn't really need. Okay? Or out of the yellow part. So let me hit the undo button to get that back. Exactly. Whoops. Redo. All right. Now I'm going to do his eyebrows. 1, 2, yellow. So I'm holding down my shift key all the time and subtract. Okay, and now to work on his eyes, I'm just going to click on this outer edge, the purpley edge, hold down my shift key and click on the yellow. Come up here to the Modify panel. Remember, that's the one with the rectangle and the circle if it's not still open. And then say Subtract. Do the same thing with the outer part of this eye. Hold down that, then grab my shift key, hold it down, and grab the yellow and say Subtract. The final thing, I think it's the final thing we have to do is the iris of his eye. So hold down or click on the iris, hold down the shift key, get the purple, and say Subtract. And again, the iris, hold down the shift, get the outer purple, and subtract. And that's looking really good, except for that I might want to make this part of his eye white. So I can change those by clicking on one, hold down the shift key, grab the other, and change it to white. There we go. Okay, let's scroll out and see how it's looking. Okay, to me it looks like I have everything that I need. So I'm going to group him. And probably what I should have done in the beginning was with this guy right here, I need to save a black and white version of him. But I like to trace him first so I get a really nice sharp clear image of him. So I'm going to go to the trace tool again, select the trace area and just trace it. Looks good, but we remember the eye was a little bit funky looking, so I'm going to go ahead and raise the threshold a bit just like that. That looks good. And say trace. Move this out, and again I can scroll way in if I'd like to. And just fix these little nodes over here by double clicking and getting the nodes, and then making one the active node by clicking on it until it turns white, and then hit delete and delete. And that looks like it fixed it pretty well. There's a little bit of a jog right here, but I don't think that will be too much trouble. If I want to, I wonder if I say simplify, that would change. When you say simplify over here, watch, let me undo. Look at all the nodes that are in here right now. If I say simplify, it gets rid of a bunch of them, like that. Okay, so now what I'll do is scroll back out and just go ahead and change this all to black. And I'll also just do the line color to black as well. And there it is. So these should be exactly the same size. They should be 4 inches tall. Okay, with the lock locked, I am going to make them, I thought it was, no, that doesn't have to be 4 inches. The box they're in has to be 4 inches. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and draw a rectangle. And I know based on what I've done earlier, I want that rectangle to be a 3-inch wide by 4 inches tall. So I'm going to unlock that and make this 4 inches tall and 3 inches wide and hit enter. And I'm going to change its color to white. And I'm going to duplicate it because I need to. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, or I can right click and say duplicate. Bring one over here. When it's there, I'm going to right click on it and say send it to the back. And I'm going to select both of these two, this guy and the box, and I'm going to come up here and say center. Okay, it's centered perfectly. Now I'm going to group. Could do the same thing with this one. Let me move this over, bring this one here, right click, send to the back. Grab both things, come up here to the bullseye, center. While they're both still selected, I'll say group. So there we go, of another set of our card set. Okay, we'll do this one now. Let's see, let's scroll back out. We'll do this guy. Same thing. What I could do though is I'm going to hold down my Alt key and make a duplicate of this. I'm going to ungroup it and take this, oopsie, click off and then click back on. And I'm going to delete this guy because I really don't need him. I'm just going to make two of these by holding down Alt on my keyboard or right-clicking and duplicating. So I have one for this and one for the one I'm going to color. And now I can get rid of this guy over here. So to color this one, I'm going to look at my sample that I had done before, and here it is here. And I'm just going to, first of all, I've got to come over, get the trace tool that looks like the toast, select the trace area, and just trace this. Looks like it came in really well, but I'll scroll in just to make sure. Okay, that looks good to me. So I'm just going to say trace. Now I can move this box over and I can actually delete this one. I don't need it. And I can duplicate this one so I don't have to do what I did twice. Hold down the Alt key or right click and duplicate and pull one over. Alright, so this is the one we're going to color. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on it, come up here, change it to a color I probably won't use. Then go to Object, release the compound path. Okay, and as you know, when I release the compound path, that puts little boxes or little selections around each little component that make up this little chick. So I'm going to click on it and see all the little boxes, and that now allows me to color it. So again, I'm going to click off, then click back on the very top, according to the one I've already made, is this blue color. The next piece down, according to the one I made, is yellow. The next piece down is the purple. I think I used that purple. The next one down is green. This one is green down here. The next one, and then I'm going to hold down my Shift key, skip one and get the next one. Both of those are orange, so I can do two at once. The one in between is yellow, and the one down here is yellow. So hold down my Shift key and grab that one, change them both to yellow. This one is the green. I thought I did do that, I guess not. Which green? That green. This one down here at the very bottom is the purple. All right. So now looking again at the sample that I've already done, I'm going to change his color of his feathers to yellow. And these little things right here I made orange, like as if they were his little tootsies. Can make them the same orange. His beak, both parts, hold down the Shift key, grab the second, is orange. And I think that's about it. Well, I can make the white of his eyes white, and this white, make it white. And the last thing I have to do are, well, let's change this to black first, and then we'll know what we have to do. So if I click on the outer edge, and remember the whole outer edge of him, the whole box, is chosen, I can just come up here and change it to black to see. All right, so once again, everything really has a nice black outline except for a couple places. Start with his mouth, just click on that purple part, and I know I clicked on the purple because look at the light color up here. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key and click on the yellow and come over here to the Modify panel and say Subtract. Perfect. Oh my, that almost got everything. The only thing left I have to do is this eye, click on it, hold down the Shift, click on the white, and say Subtract. And there he is. He is done, just like that. So I'm going to group all of him together. Scroll back out a little bit. And this time I'm going to bring, I thought I made two of these little boxes. Did I? Yes. I'm going to put one of them under him. And I'll have to go ahead and center it by grabbing both and clicking center. Then I will group them while they're still connected. This one I've got to change to black. So I'm going to come up here to the color swatch area and change that to black. And I'll also change the line color to black, like that. Bring this down underneath of here. Grab both things. Come up again to this menu up here, to the bullseye. That makes them be centered perfectly. Right click and say group. And now these four are ready to be print and cut. So all I have to do now in my Cameo is to come back up here to the page setup panel, because I only have 8.5 by 11 media, the page I have to use. So I'm going to change that to 8.5 by 11. That's how much space I have, but not really, because I have to turn on the registration marks, you remember. Come here, turn them on. All right, now I need to move these guys so they'll be within the red registration marks that show where the cut lines are. So just like that's perfect. So then the next thing I'll do is I'll say send. Well, I won't really, but let me show you this. I'll have to make sure that I grab all of these things. And right now it says cut, so you'll notice there's a red line around everything. That means every single thing is going to cut out, and I don't want that. So I'm going to say cut edge, and now look what that did. The only thing that's going to cut is the outer edge of those. But before I can cut them, let's go back over here to design, and I need to print them. So file, print. Gives us a sample what they're going to look like now. That's a new update on Silhouette. And then I click on print. Here's where I change my preferences. I like mine to be very high setting. Okay. Color. So I'll say okay. And print. So those are going to be over there printing. And then while they're printing, let's see what will we do for Cricut Design Space. Only thing we have to do is grab all of this stuff, say file. Oh, maybe I should group all of these. Group. Since these are all grouped together and they'll come in grouped over there, I can use that technique I use, that I look at the size of the width, and the width is 6.987. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive, and since this is Easter Chicks, I'll name it. 1 and 2. These are the first two. But you know what? I almost forgot it. Right before I put the first word, I want to put the size. So it's 6.987. 6.987 Easter Chicks. And I'm going to save it. This time what I'm going to do, I guess I'll just save it as an SVG. I think I'll save it as a JPEG. And just come up here and say okay. And leave this all like it is and say save. Now I'm going to come over here and open Cricut Design Space. I'm going to new project, upload an image, browse, and let's see, it was all those crazy numbers. Okay, 6.987 Easter Chicks, open. Okay, that's what it looks like. I'm going to say complex and continue. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the select and erase tool and click so that all of the junk around these goes away. You notice that? See how cool that is? So then I can just go continue. And I want the print and cut image, so I have this one selected. Say save. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to insert it. Now, because I want these to be a certain size, remember, we kept that size. Okay, it's taking a little long. Okay, there we go. We kept that size right here, 6.987. So I can now click on this, and as long as the lock is locked, I can change the size to 6.987, and it'll be exactly the size that I made them when it was over in silhouette. There's only one problem though. Since that's 6.987, that's too large. Watch, if I say make it, it says the project is incompatible. Our machines won't print and cut that big. So what do? Well, we can do this. We can just come over to the shape tool and get a square and draw the square out, unlock it around this, and just come down after we have these two things selected, come down here to slice. So that sliced that right out. There he is. And I can take this same box in just a sec, get rid of that little piece. And I might as well just do this one right here, stretch this out, and grab both things and say slice. And so now we have, I can get rid of that stuff, delete, and we have these two guys by themselves. So now we can print and cut these. So I can grab this one and group them back together if I'd like. Oh, but I didn't want to grab him too. Let's ungroup that. So move him over. I'm just going to group these two together. These two are going to be a group. Oh, they already are. And then I can make these two be a group. Okay, and now we should be able to make it because they'll fit perfectly. See that? That's going to fit like that. And on the second page, this will fit like this. And we can print and cut them as we always do with Cricut. Okay, I went ahead and just cut those on my silhouette machine just so you could see how easy it is. So here are 4 more cards for my game. And I think they're super fun, super easy. I think kids will really like them. Let's see, get this out here. I think the little shapes are funny too, the little chickens. We'll have different ones every time. So this one's another matcher for this one. And there, and there, and there. So again, what they can do is just play any kind of game they can think of with them. Not even play a game, just deal them out, pick them up, whatever. I just did this on some cardstock that I'd gotten from Staples. It's a lot of fun. So hope you'll join me again tomorrow. I really, really have fun doing this. Gives me something to do while I'm quarantined in my home. And then in addition to that, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, every day for the next 6 days, we'll be able to meet and talk with each other and chat with each other online while we watch together. And it's just a kind of a nice way for us to check up on each other and make sure everyone's doing well. So stay safe. See you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.